Good evening. Good to see you all. And I want to thank everybody who put this together and thank everybody who is here this evening. I'll be reading from my book, The Earth Pushes Back. I should advise or warn you that you are looking at a city boy. Born and raised in the Boston area and lived for over 50 years in New York City. So that no matter what the subject of a haiku that I write, it's always the haiku of a city boy. If I happen to be out in the country on the weekend, it's a city boy's view of the country on a weekend. Now, I want to begin, well, I think I want to begin at the beginning. I'm going to start by reading the first poem in my book. And it's sort of a poem, well, it's suitable to be the first poem in the book. I have this problem, you have it too. How do you begin to write a poem when so many poems have already been written? How do you begin to write a haiku when so many haiku have already been written? How do you begin to write a haiku that starts with the word butterfly? Well, almost every haiku starts with the word butterfly. Well, my answer to that was to put all of this into 3 lines, and there you are. It's not a method I think is necessarily going to work at all times, but that time it did. Butterfly. Where do I begin? Or, butterfly, where do I begin? Which is a question that didn't occur to me until I saw what was written on the page after I had first written it down. It's experience. You have that experience too. You compose a haiku, you write it down, and then you look at it and you're sort of seeing it for the first time, and you realize, well, it wasn't what I thought it was at all. Sometimes you make changes, or sometimes you're just happy with it. Now, I have followed here the traditional 4-seasonal structure of spring, summer, winter, and fall, and autumn. Autumn and winter, I mean, even where I come from in New York, they do it that way too, but okay. And I have a group of spring poems which deal with the young, human or not. First day of spring, a puppy at the pet shop wags itself. First day of spring, a puppy at the pet shop wags itself. Flower show. A child tells me her favorite color. You ever notice kids always think you ought to have a favorite color? Flower show. A child tells me her favorite color. Spring wind. Teaching a child to whistle. Spring wind, teaching a child to whistle. And this one, because spring is not all puppies and whistling children and so on. And this is the one's autobiographical, by the way. Spring afternoon, the children return to the dead squirrel. Dead squirrel at the end of the street. And after school, for several days, we all just sort of looked at the dead squirrel. I think we were trying to figure out what this death stuff was all about. And then one day, the squirrel wasn't there anymore, and maybe that's what death is all about, too. Spring afternoon, the children return to the dead squirrel. Now here, I begin and end my spring poems with the butterfly. I find the butterfly can continue to produce, no matter what. And this one began as a first-person poem, and I felt pretty good about it until I looked at it. The first-person poem, as I wrote it, was, Butterfly, how long will I remember you? And I thought, well, there's the delightful moment of the butterflies, but how long will it last? How long will I remember it? But I looked at it on the page, and I'd like to think if you looked at it on the page, you'd feel very different from the way I did, because I was not satisfied. I was just sort of lying there somehow. And then I thought, what I really want to ask, Butterfly, how long will you remember me? Butterfly, how long will you remember me? Now here's the one from which the title of the book comes from, and goes back to my city boy mentality. There are experiences that for a city boy are of an intensity that most of you, not from the city, cannot appreciate or understand. But take my word for this. Barefoot, the earth pushes back. Barefoot, the earth pushes back. And then some summer recreations and little tricks of language that we have. Skinny dipping, her cute names for everything. Skinny dipping, her cute names for everything. But even summer, its long days must come to an end. Skipping stones at summer's end, the one that doesn't. Skipping stones at summer's end, the one that doesn't. Or this, common sight at the end of summer. Crowded bus station. Teenagers kissing summer goodbye. Crowded bus station. Teenagers kissing summer goodbye. And then from summer into autumn, the colors in an old quilt. Autumn deepens. The colors in an old quilt. Autumn deepens. Deepens, that seems to me to be what autumn does more than the other seasons. I've tried having summer deepen, for example, it doesn't work at all. Deep autumn. Knowing there is nowhere I have to be. Still don't know if that's good news or bad news, but deep autumn, knowing there is nowhere I have to be. And is this a little bit of social comment or what? I don't know, you tell me. Rust Belt, an empty house at the end of autumn. Rust Belt, an empty house at the end of autumn. Then, as must follow the day and the night and all the rest of that, into winter. Winter occasions, Epiphany. You know, January 6th, noted. Epiphany, the neighborhood returns to ordinary darkness. Epiphany, the neighborhood returns to ordinary darkness. I don't know how it is where you come from, but around where I come from, Epiphany is traditionally the day that you take down, remove the ornaments and the Christmas lights and so on. Ordinary darkness. Winter tree, the children study subtraction. Winter tree, the children study subtraction. And one last winter poem, Winter Moon, a tired old man in the mirror. Winter Moon, a tired old man in the mirror. But I refuse to let winter have the last word. And so, although this last poem is set, as you see, in a winter month, it looks a little beyond. I was once, well, there was a publication that used to ask poets for their signature poem, and this is the one I identified for me then. I still see no reason to change that. February wind, I want to believe the crocus. February wind, I want to believe the crocus. May we all believe the crocus. Thank you very much.